World Wrestling Federation. For over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
What's our name?
Well, men on the
Are you ready?
Well,
Here we go. Bam, bang, boom. Here we go.
Welcome to the New Gen on Mission podcast on the Backbone Wrestling Network. I'm Tim Slomka.
I'm JP.
Thanks for joining us again. As always, we're on a journey to relive the new generation era, to find the best and some of the worst of a wrestling time period often forgotten. From Bret and Shawn Survivor Series 92 to Bret and Shawn Survivor Series 97, we'll look beyond the pay-per-views, examine the weekly TV, see what worked, what could have worked, and what failed. JP, how was life?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I think I'm going through a midlife crisis, but
Oh, no.
I don't know. Yeah,
What
I'm
parts?
about to be. I think I'm about to be 39. It's like hitting me that I'm gonna be in my last year of my 30s.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say that I'm celebrating the 30th anniversary of turning 9 years old instead.
Yes, good one. I'm a little bit already past that, and it's all right. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just
Still having a midlife crisis every other week, though.
right.
Myself, I
No,
feel like
I'm
that's
falling
like it's like
apart.
when which one's a crisis and which one's not. Like I don't know where you draw the line.
I don't know like what age you felt washed too. Like I play sports a lot, and now I'm just getting like hurt every time I play, and I broke my finger a couple weeks ago, and just
It's
everything.
kind of my timing was like COVID. Like I felt like all right, I'm still doing okay, and my
Yeah.
son would just been one, and I'm like all right, I'm coming back from my son being one. I'm like all right, I'm getting back at it, and it's like COVID
Yeah.
shut everything down, and then it's like it felt like 7 years off my life.
Right.
That like 3 month or 4 month like hiatus, and just like that's when I kind of felt it. Like it just was just like
Yeah,
it really
good
kicked my
boy.
butt. It was a weird timing. And then yeah, exactly. Like I couldn't play basketball anymore. Like running, I had to like think about like getting out of bed. Like it
Yeah.
always started hurting, but it like really stopped up then. So
Yeah, it sucks.
yes, it does.
Getting
So
old.
getting old does suck. It's
Yeah.
a tough part of life, but you could always relive the nostalgia era, which is
That's
exactly
right.
what we're doing. And we thank everyone for letting us. We missed a week or so there. We're back on it. If there was a time to go out, it was with Uncensored 95. Like if you're just to cut cold turkey, Uncensored 95 might
Yeah,
have been the
that's
proper way
actually
to do
true.
it.
Right.
It was a good time, but as some know, the network or Peacock is no
Netflix.
more with Raw, so we're just scrambling a little bit to get some of these episodes. We're back on. We found them all
Yeah.
for at least 95 and 96, 97. So we're back at it full time now. So glad to be back, and thanks for understanding. And I texted JT and I was like, I don't want to be that wrestling fan, but it's been a month and
Right.
Netflix doesn't have these up yet. Now I'm starting to panic. What do I do?
I don't get it. What is their method of loading? And it's literally the most frustrating. I looked like you had talked about it. I have a lot of this stuff on DVD still, so
Yeah.
like I wasn't scrambling quite yet.
Yeah.
Even though it's a pain in the ass now to like watch the DVDs, but like I go down there and it's like 98. You'll have January 7th, 14th. Oh, the 21st is missing. And then we'll give you the 28th, and then I don't get it. And then they have like 6 episodes total. What are they doing? I don't get it. Or like you'll go to 2000 and it'll be like 3 episodes, and 93 has 17 episodes. I don't get their whole method of it. So I don't know.
I don't get it. And it's just like limited space, right? Like it's just on some server. So I don't understand why they can't load the whole thing. It's something I haven't understood a lot of stuff of streaming TV. Like all the promising of everything is just like all in hard times. It feels like
Right. Yeah, I don't get it.
I feel like
And
it's
it's
this great
It's
thing. And
Netflix.
now
You feel like
I
they
know,
should
but it's
have
just I
like
think
unlimited bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah, but it just feels like everything, like all like the network came out, it was so awesome, and like all these new shows and programming, and now it's just like data dumps. I mean, some of it's okay, but it's just like, hey, here's the 30 things you guys should watch, and that's it. No,
Right.
no creativity. Every screen looks the same. Like you go to any
Yeah.
streaming service, they all look the exact same rectangle box. Like
That's a good
it
point.
just
Yeah.
and there's
I didn't
800
think
of them.
about that.
So yeah, so I don't know, but this we at least both of us have figured out how to get Raw, so we're back on it. So
Yep.
thanks for understanding, and we're back because we can't miss WrestleMania 11. Of all
Exactly.
places,
I mean,
we can't
that's-
miss.
Right.
And maybe just dropped the other day. The North South Connection is doing a rewind of 1995, as well. So we're perfectly in time. We can't, during the 30-year anniversary of that, we can't miss this meetup.
That's a monumental event. So
yes. All right, so we move on to our some of the favorites Raws I've ever seen in my life. We're doing a kind of short. We're kind of short this week because next week, and we'll clearly do this. There will be the Sunday Night Slam and the Raws and Superstars that lead up to it. So we thought trying to jam 5 episodes into one might be a little too much, especially the Sunday Night Slam being pretty hot. So we're gonna do a Raw and a Superstars, and then next week we'll have Sunday Night Slam, Raw, and Superstars all before WrestleMania. So we're this is March 20th, 1985. This is back taped from the week before. So March 13th was the live episode about in California. And we start off with a interesting match. Just out of nowhere comes Razor Ramon versus Henry Godwinn. So Godwinn's a guy we kind of liked, right? Hog. We've kind of been impressed by him. You know, maybe still confused if he's supposed to be face or heel, but he's been involved in a lot of stuff. And I think we've so far liked him. I thought he's been a pretty good addition. A pretty short match in this considered Razor's kind of known for the more 15-minute matches. I would say like he's kind of, that's what his sweet spot is, 10, 15 minutes, but it's only 6 minutes long. But we start building up a lot more angle into this. So 1, 2, 3 Kid comes out during the beginning of the match, and then 1, 2, 3 Kid comes together. And I was kind of putting after, the 93 stuff. Have we really seen Kid and Razor together? It's kind of unique, but a pairing that's going to go on for, rest of 95 and into 96. So interesting there. So they're kind of setting up, hey, Razor's got some backbone and, Razor wins on the Razor's edge with Godwinn. It's pretty good stuff in the match. Godwinn looks good, but again, the only reason I think he's Razor's the face. Afterwards, we get a promo from Razor, who's super pissed off about Backlund getting the title shot on Sunday Night Slam next week. If you remember, he kind of chicken winged Barry Horowitz and signed a contract again, probably not legal, but signed a contract for Double J's Intercontinental match. And so Razor's losing his mind, saying he had the match at WrestleMania. He doesn't know why he's getting skipped out. It was very much a heel promo, I thought, versus he was very angry and definitely very mean spirited compared to kind of the way he's been as a face. But solid match, definitely a lot of energy and kind of cool. All right, that he's going to bring 1, 2, 3 kind of Kid along with him, whether it's a sidekick or teammates. They're now correlated together. So that's the first match.
It goes into the whole Kliq working with the Kliq kind of thing. So I do like the pairing. I do like how the story has kind of come full circle in the almost 2 years of the upset, and now they're kind of teaming together. So I like that.
It's a good pairing. It's got some pieces together, right?
But it is weird that Kid just all of a sudden ditched Holly like that. Like what is Bob? Weren't they a tag team? Like him and Bob Holly were a tag team. So that's kind of weird. I thought Henry Godwinn, as far as the match goes, he had a good showing here. I feel like he could definitely be a solid player as a singles wrestler, and I never would have thought that. Going into this rewatch project, I never would have thought, oh, Henry Godwinn can kind of cut it as a singles guy. So that was pretty cool. Just a good match to start the show with too. A matchup that you don't really expect. So I like when they throw stuff like that out there. So from there we get a quick little WrestleMania recap or a preview going, kind of building up the matches as usual with Todd. Then we get I never thought I'd be excited to see King Kong Bundy, but
this is great.
I'm telling you, this was something that blew me away. So King Kong Bundy is involved in a handicap match, which I think they should have been doing this more early on with him. Because this is he's kind of like the spectacle type of wrestler where, he does the handicap stuff or he does the 5 count. He's good with the shtick kind of thing. The highlight for this, though, is that Mongo comes out for commentary. And, both of us being Bears fans, I'm sure we're both Mongo fans. I've always been a huge Mongo fan, even though I really didn't watch him play that much. I think the first year or so I got into the Bears, year or two. I remember my dad being a really big fan of him, so he kind of always stuck out for me. So, knowing that he was going to become a wrestler and everything kind of tied it together. But I feel like Mongo comes out for commentary, right? He's awesome on the mic already. And
Oh yeah.
I feel like the WWF missed the chance to get him.
Yeah, I did see in somewhere that they tried to get him and basically paid him like $5 an hour. And
Oh,
so he's
really?
like, no, yeah. Somewhere, I can't remember where, if I read a Meltzer or something, but basically like the offer was so ridiculously low. And he's like, no. And I mean, you know where he goes, right?
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
pay way bigger. So makes sense.
But he's so natural, like on the
Yeah,
mic. Like he comes out, he's talking with Vince, and he's a better commentator than Vince. Like I
way
think,
better. Well, that's not
and,
hard.
right? But he just brings so much color and
Yeah.
realism without shitting on the product. Like some guys are like they'll come out there and like all cocky and they kind of like turn their nose down on the product. McMichael like comes out and he's like a man's man, but then also respects like the wrestlers as being like man's man, like kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. So the match was what it was. It was more of a background. Bundy's win as a squash handicap, but it's also to set up the like $1 Million Corporation Lawrence Taylor kind of feud with the luminaries like being Mongo and whatever. So that brings out Kama out to kind of like intimidate Mongo. And I thought Kama got like outclassed as far as verbal skills go because Kama looked very
It's big time.
like he was playing pro wrestler, like the way he's talking to him, and Mongo's just like, all right, buddy, like kind of
nice try.
Right. And then they kind of get into it, and this brawl is fucking awesome. Like we need to see more of this kind of stuff. Like they're just going at it, and it looks so stiff. Like they're two huge dudes, obviously. Kama, like you can tell, like they go for a takedown, and Kama kind of gets him first. He's like letting him work with him, and Mongo's like, wait a second, I'm a football player. I'm not gonna let him get the best of me. So he kind of like makes sure that he gets back up so he can take him down. Then they kind of started throwing some stiffer looking shots in there, not brutal or anything, but it was a very good.
Oh, it's very brutal.
Pull apart brawl, and I did not see this coming. So, the match is what it was. It was a good backdrop. I think it's set up well for this, but this Mongo Kama thing, this made me want to see Mongo wrestle in the WWF is what it did. So, I thought this was an awesome segment and really good shining the light on Mongo here.
Yeah, most of my stuff is just me hitting at Vince because before the match we had Bam Bam and Doink from Action Zone, and Vince does the worst hut commentary when he's
so brutal
when he's trying to do the Duggan 3-point stand.
Yes.
1 second. And then Steve McMongo, I love that he's out on the just talking. He talks about his career and then says how important it is to be on the LT's team and like it's his number one career highlights. Right. I like the 2-on-1. I thought I put notes here that I think Bundy's been underutilized. I think the fight between the 5 count, he's actually been pretty solid, but the problem is there's no feud with Taker like going into Mania. Like it's a worthless match right now. Mm-hmm. And so it's really kind of pointless right now. I love that Kama comes out there and says he's sick and tired of Steve McMichael running his mouth, which we haven't heard him talking. He's like, every week you come out here and you run your mouth.
Right.
And then Vince like has the mic to like use in their face, but he doesn't lift it up. So I don't think the crowd at the arena could hear it, but it comes in pretty clear. But it's just like kind of terribly done, right? Like they should have set it up a little bit better. But then then when the fight goes awesome, the crowd just is nuts for this. They probably had no idea what was happening again because like you couldn't really hear anything because you could just tell they're like autoing into their headsets. But the crowd is going nuts, and you just get the Vince, stop it now. Like just his terrible overacting, but it's so funny. But they're flying everywhere. There's water everywhere. They're knocking each other over. They're like rolling on the ground. Like it's maybe not the most realistic fight, but it's it's just it's intense, right? Mm-hmm. So I really liked it. The crowd went nuts for it. So that made it a really good segment there to build up, like you said, corporation versus that. And like I said, I saw somewhere that they were really interested in Steve McMichael. So it clearly they saw something here. Decided to use him.
It worked out because I feel like he like really fit the Horseman as far as like attitude wise goes. He's obviously not the best in the ring guy, but he just fit them with his personality.
But even commentary, right? He kind of adds that like Dusty Flair commentary to it, like the Dusty, like he just adds that kind of like silliness, but in the moment, really energetic, loving it. So I really like that. We got one last match then here, so kind of unique that we kind of only got 3 matches in here. and we get Smoking Guns versus Heavenly Bodies in a tag team title match. So I have no idea why this happens. Kind of no setup here, but Heavenly Bodies somehow jumped the queue. Makes no sense that 1, 2, 3 Kid and Bob Holly aren't getting the match. So just really weird from the tag team division on this whole thing. Like, why isn't it just that Kid and Holly just keeping the belts? Like, why do we need the Smoking Guns? We do get then, to make things even more confusing, we get highlights of the Smoking Guns in Action Zone 2 weeks ago, fought Men on a Mission. And after the match, I think we talked about it already, but Men on a Mission turned kind of heel and then beat them down. And then they showed from this week's Action Zone, Oscar giving an apology, like, hey, we were not supposed to do that. We're so sorry. And just basically him alone apologizing on behalf of Mel and Mabel. So we'll see where that goes, but it just makes this tag team division really confusing. You kind of got the Guns out of nowhere champions, and they're kind of fighting these random teams, even though Owen's somehow number one contender. So really confusing overall. But okay match. Gigolo's gut's starting to get a little big. I think he's not as in good shape as he was before. Like he is, he gets gassed through this whole match. He's just not in the best shape right now. And the Heavenly Bodies, they do good offense. Like it's smooth. They do the armbar stuff, but they're just not over the crowd. Like I think because they're in and out too much to really get any like momentum behind them. Like they'll be gone, right? We won't see them for 4 months and then back and then kind of here and then back. And then all of a sudden now they're getting a title shot. So the crowd really doesn't care about this. At the end, or during the match, Vince also brings up that Owen will face the Guns, and no one can figure out who his partner is, his mystery partner. And he kind of thinks about it. It's funny. He thinks about it, stops, and says, actually, Jim Ross knows about it. Call the hotline. So it's kind of funny that they kind of bring that up. And then there's kind of a quick roll-up by Billy on Gigolo, and Vince starts talking about how Gigolo's feet were on the rope, so the match shouldn't count, and why isn't the ref seeing it?
Right.
Talking about he gives it crazy, tremendous, and unbelievable in this match. So Vince is, as we didn't mention, since McMichael was his announcer during the last match and the brawl happened, Vince does this match solo. So as good as the match is, technically sound, right? Like it's okay.
Right.
2 stars. It's like a 1-star match because of Vince by himself.
Yeah, he's not the guy to call.
And we just get the Smoking Guns winning, and no, he's not gonna call anything, and they just gotta get Smoking Guns winning, and that's it, and just kind of the random tag team title defense for the Smoking Guns. So
yeah, the only thing I think is like this should have been the feud in like '93. So I think like if the Guns feuded with the Bodies early on, it could have done wonders for them. Like as far as their like progression goes, I feel like it took the Guns a long time to get to this point where they're a solid team. And even then, they're not all the way there yet. They're still kind of clunky a little bit. So I just wish this would have happened a little bit earlier and like use Cornette as like the mouthpiece to kind of build the feud going forward. But we have a little bit of it now, I guess.
Yeah, it's not great, but it is what it is.
Yep.
And then we just kind of end with some highlights from the wrestlers at Magic Johnson Foundation. And then we get Cornette back at ringside, and they just kind of wrap up everything for the Happen on Raw, talk about Sunday Night Slam, really bringing up those matches for the weekend, Sunday night show. It's better with Cornette in there, like kind of leading Vince to help give some, even though Vince is a good hype man, it kind of gives like the heel cred versus Vince just being like, oh, watch this. And then they end with the big match for Sunday Night Slam, which we'll talk about next week, is Tatanka versus Lex Luger in a steel cage, which again kind of comes out of nowhere. Again, feels like that should be the Mania match versus Sunday Night Slam, a long feud that's been going on since SummerSlam. You got the biggest corporation or heel faction in the corporation involved in it, and yet it's just kind of like, Sunday Night Slam match. It feels like a missed opportunity.
Terrible.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're good on that one.
All right. Then we're going to move to Superstars 325. So it's still taped pretty far back. So again, we have this problem where we have, not the freshest tapings. This is from February 21st, the last one of this one. And why don't you start off with our first match?
Yeah. So speaking of Tatanka, we're going to start with Tatanka versus the British Bulldogs. So kind of back-to-back like marquee matchups to kind of open the shows. And this is like a big power matchup. I guess it's kind of setting the stage for the Tatanka Luger matchup, kind of the same build. We do get a ponytailed British Bulldog here, so a little bit of a different look, and he looks fucking yoked in this match. Like, he just looks huge for whatever reason to me. And they match up decent. Like, I don't think Tatanka is the best heel worker. I think he works way better as a face. But Bulldog being, like his heel offense just doesn't really work for me. And like, he's way better with like the strutting around the ring, getting the crowd into it. Like, he was so good as a babyface. Such a wasted, run for him. But Bulldog is pretty good, using his like athleticism to kind of make this match interesting, so that it's not like a clunker, like it could be with Luger and Tatanka or something like that. Like, Bulldog kind of keeps the pace a little bit. I always like Bulldog's dynamic because he's just not this brooding power guy. He's pretty athletic, so that made it decent. The match isn't great or anything, but it's just solid enough. The finish was really terrible. They kind of go out of the ring, kind of like, and they do like the chasing spot, and DiBiase literally just sticks his foot out to trip Bulldog.
So
and
weak.
Somehow,
weak.
A trip keeps them down for a count out victory, and then they like get out of town. And this match drug on forever. Like, they could have done this spot way earlier in the match if all it was going to be was a trip to get the win. I feel like they just drug on for a little bit, even though it was a solid working from both guys. It just, the way it ended just really left it flat and made me feel like
it was too slow.
geez.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just didn't like how this ended.
It was like, what's the point of it?
Right.
It was like, what's the point of it?
Right.
Yeah, there wasn't really much to it. And then Tatanka was gassed and running away, like he was sweating profusely during it. So just like, what's the point of that match? I don't know.
I mean, I
the thing
yeah, go ahead.
Good.
Well, I was gonna say, I get that they're trying to like say, hey, we're gonna have a cage match so that DiBiase can't get involved, and him getting involved is
the weakest involvement.
But yeah, exactly. But it's the weakest involvement, like a literal trip that you would do to somebody like walking to third period in the 7th grade or something. Like, one of your friends. It's so stupid, but I digress.
Yeah, I do think we'll notice on this. We kind of talked about last time. They have more marquee matchups in these superstars, which is nice, right? They're starting to add this. So like, I get kind of like, hey, we're gonna do a little bit more random than just like every match has to be a feud. So I'm okay with that. It's just silly, and this could have been a bigger match, right? Like our second match, or our other featured match, like that one, I would say, okay, yes, I understand. Like, hey, let's have two guys that maybe aren't the strongest like fight, but this match just feels so weird and random, and should have been the Sunday Night Slam match versus the cage match being at WrestleMania. So then we get highlights from Raw. Comments, Steve McMichael and the massive brawl. Love it. I had more notes here because I watched the Superstars first, but this brawl was awesome. Then we also get the Action Zone highlights. Same thing, which we always love, right? They talk about Men of the Mission, taking out the Smoking Guns and Oscar apologizing. And then we get Smoking Guns out next for a match. So a really good placement there of the highlights from Men on a Mission into the Smoking Guns. So it really feels like that's the feud. We'll see if anything comes of it. I just don't remember like how that all works along. If Smoking Gun and Men on a Mission feel a feud, or it's just that's just the thing to turn them heels. So we'll see where that gets up. Then we got so Smoking Guns winning their standard tag team match. This is a squash match. And then we get a kind of random match, Hakushi versus Aldo Montoya. Aldo Montoya we haven't seen too much of. But Hakushi, kind of has been strong. They've been positioning him throughout this match about him and Bret Hart. And obviously Jerry Lawler goes on the race that Bret Hart's races towards Japanese people. Right. But a good match. El Montoya is a guy that can go a little bit, the Man of War. But he's not credible. He doesn't look credible. His music's not credible. Like, it's a guy that probably they could have done a little bit more, taking a step back. Probably a guy they should have used better as like a 1-2-3 kid and used him more. And I think Hakushi brings in this match. It's just the two don't work great together. Or I should say, I should say not great together. It's just Aldo Montoya just has no credibility.
Right. It doesn't help build up Hakushi, like being so. Aldo Montoya looked really weird coming out. Like, he had beads all in his hair, and he was wearing this thing around his neck. Like, he almost looked like El Matador, like Tito Santana version for a little bit there. But yeah, it was more of a highlight for Hakushi. Like it really wasn't even anything involving Aldo Montoya. Like he was just fodder, I guess. And they did
Yeah.
build the moonsault with Hakushi too, though. So
Yeah,
that
they
was kinda
both looked
cool.
okay. It's just the one guy's just not like why is he out there? But again, I do like this. They're trying to get these more marquee matchups
Mm-hmm.
for superstars, right? They're like before we'd sometimes go weeks and there'd be nothing, right? And at least
Right.
this is like, all right, we're gonna give you a couple matches each week. So hope you guys enjoy it. So I do like that part of it.
Yep. So from there we get a quick Henry Godwin squash. So just kind of keeping him going along, and he's still fun to watch a little bit. So it's nothing crazy here. And then we close out the show with a pretty good piece of business here, which I
Yep.
didn't think was going to be this. This kind of caught me off guard because I vividly remember this as a kid, and I did not expect this to be this. So they before they go to break, they say when we come back, Bret Hart's going to receive an award from the Japanese media for whatever reason. I don't know why he's receiving this. Like,
Yeah,
this is the guy that they don't want
no,
as their champion.
they're not even wasting time. They're not
Right.
even wasting time with it. It's just like, yeah.
They don't want him as his champion, and he's receiving all these awards after he loses the belt and everything. So everybody else loves him except for Vince, I guess. So yeah, he's getting this award from the Japanese media for whatever reason. Gets on the mic and is talking about how he's not racist. He's going to go after Lawler and he'll make him pay. And then all of a sudden, Hakushi and Shinja come out, and Shinja's just like yelling that he's a liar, which is hilarious. The way he's
Don't
saying
trust
it.
him. Yep.
I'm not. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm not gonna do the accent there, but it was hilarious the way he was doing it. And then all of a sudden, Hakushi attacks Bret in an awesome moment. This was huge for Hakushi. So we talked about earlier him facing like Aldo Montoya really didn't do anything for him. This like makes Hakushi right now. So he attacks him and then like goes on the stage and then does the moonsault off the stage onto Bret, which was awesome. I just feel like this I wasn't watching in '89, but I feel like this is the new gen equivalent to when the Great Muta debuted, and kind of like not obviously not to the scale. Like he's not the same wrestler, but if you're a kid. Kind of like I was, really getting into WWF at this time and not knowing anything about Japanese wrestling. And then you see this guy come over and now he's attacking one of the biggest stars. It kind of just brings a lot of credibility to him. So I feel like, this kind of made Hakushi in this moment. Now what they do with it is going to be something different, but
we'll see.
Yeah. And then it also sets up for when they come back for Backlund to attack Bret. I just don't like that part of it because it still makes me wish that Bret Lawler was the match at Mania because this could play off of it so perfectly. Like Hakushi and Shinja could have like escorted Lawler to the ring for the match, and then that could lead to your in your house match versus Hakushi, and they could have just done it so much better if it would just been Lawler. But I guess they got to shoehorn.
Yeah,
Backlund
they had to bring
probably,
Backlund in for some reason.
Right.
It's really rough. With Backlund, it just who cares? The feud's over. Like, it's just really disappointing. And even after the commercial break, the Backlund comes back out, and it is the chicken wing. So they try to like bring him into the feud, but one of my notes is like Bret has like 5 feuds going on right now. He's got Lawler, Hakushi, Shinja, Backlund. He's got Owen Hart still, right? They're gonna fight in No Holds Barred next week. Like he's got all these feuds going on, so he's really their utility man. Interesting way to attack Bret Hart and Hakushi. I don't know why. Maybe that was the only way to get him over, but had to get really big heat on Bret Hart to really make Hakushi get it, at his level. But fine enough. The thing was awesome. The camera work on the moonsault wasn't the best. Like I don't know if you missed it, and they had the camera other way, but it's still different. I mean, at the time, it's probably like unheard of, right? Like only 1, 2, 3 Kid had ever done that in WWE. So. I think it was well done. It was just kind of like looking back now, it like doesn't look the strongest, right? But you kind of have to take that step back of like, okay, no, you just saw King Kong Bundy and Henry Garden, and now it's now it's this,
right?
Now it's this guy. So
it's a good point.
So it is something to see. So anything else before we move on to awards?
I think we're good.
Yeah. So we move on to awards. We got most new gen outfits.
Nothing really jumped off the page for me. I guess the only thing I made a note of was Bulldog's ponytail, so I'm gonna have to go with him. I'm gonna have to go with
Yeah,
the
I
British
mean, with
Bulldog.
less stuff, it's kind of tough. I'm just gonna go with Steve McMichael. He just looked
Yeah,
very
he always looks
90s.
awesome.
You know, so yeah, I don't remember if he had a fanny pack, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Right.
I'm just gonna assume it was there, and if
Yeah.
not, I'll have AI draw it on him. So,
Right.
most new gen performer.
I think I'm gonna go with Hakushi. I think
Yep.
him jumping up into that moment and being a newcomer, and he's obviously a new gen guy. Like he doesn't appear in any other era, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with him.
I'm gonna go with Razor Ramon. I thought he just looked, classic title match that you
Mhm.
see every once in a while on a Superstars or Raw, and then he's got a kid with him. I thought he was just very,
Right.
very solid in his performance. So,
Cool.
worst match or segments.
I'm gonna have to go with Tatanka versus Bulldog. That ending just really soured it, and it went on too long. So
Yeah, I'll probably go the same. With the shorter episode, it wasn't as much,
right.
but that was kind of disappointing. I mean, Gigolo's gut was not looking good either, so that might be my second choice. But I think that ending of not only just the ending of it, but then like the setting up of the steel cage, like it's
Right.
just kind of such
It was
bland.
lazy. Yeah.
It's just lazy, and it's just like that tag match is terrible at Mania, so it's just like it feels like there could have been better here. What all the time they spent building up it. So, best match or segments.
So yeah, it's down to two, and neither one of them are matches. But this might be the only time I get to shout out Mongo, so I'm gonna have to pick that segment.
You know what? I might have to too, because you're exact. I didn't think about that, but this is Mongo's only
Right.
appearance, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think it's a Mania, and then it might be it.
Right. Yeah. This is only like
so
real
I'm gonna put Mongo
involvement
too.
in something. So
Yeah,
Yep.
I think he's only a Mania, and that's the end of him. And obviously,
Yep.
we'll see him on the other station very soon. Stock up for anyone.
I have to go with Hakushi on that as well. I feel like this moment kind of elevated him from being like just a mid-card squash guy to now he's like kind of a player. So
Yeah, I'll go. I'm gonna go Mongo. I've always liked him, enjoyed him, but I think he looked great, and you could see why WCW wanted him. So I'll go him. Stock down.
I'm gonna go DiBiase. Like his whole, like he's not needed for the Bigelow main event. He's just becoming like a hindrance to everything, and he's not really like he hasn't given like a solid promo or anything that's kind of like building Mania. So I just don't feel like he's.
Okay.
I feel like he's background right now.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna just see real quick. I'm gonna go Vince. He was terrible on the match. This by himself, just overacting. Just some of it, just so annoying sometimes. And then we could blame every booking decision. We pretty much blame him for. So, all right, that's our awards. So we have next week, like we said, we got Sunday Night Slam. We have the Raw, which has a no holds barred match between Bret Hart and Owen Hart. Why is that not a Mania? No one knows. And then the Superstars is mostly a recap, so we'll kind of give our predictions for WrestleMania at that time too. So we got three TV episodes next week, and then the following week we will be at WrestleMania 11. So fun build up. This is probably the most we probably complained about the booking decisions, I think.
Yeah.
Don't you think, like, to anything so far, like this is probably, maybe we've complained maybe more about like lack of like intro or like lack of setup for matches, but like this is where it's just like this doesn't make sense. Like, why are we wasting time on Backlund, Brad, and not having Luger, Tatanka?
Yeah.
Why are the Blue Brothers even in a WrestleMania main event
Exactly.
or match? So this probably is the biggest booking that we've been disappointed in. So
Right.
we'll be, like we said, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks for everyone treating us during our hiatus, and we're back at it and ready for WrestleMania 11.
Yes, sir.